Okay, here's the deal, everybody. Mary from Novel Way, Michigan, is en route to the workshop right now. And this particular 21E, I got done like 7 months ago, but was waiting on parts and paint shop stuff for her other machine, this new home, Model K that you saw premiered recently. Showed all of this on the machine, even though we kind of cut it short a little bit. So I'm going to verify this Husqvarna real quick and make sure that it's good to go since it's been sitting, waiting about 8 months to be picked up by the customer. Got to double check it. You know, it's been sitting a long time. So, of course, we got to test it using a real weird setup. I'm using a sulky thread. It's an embroidery type thread, 40 weight, size 9014 Schmetz needle, pretty common. We're going to be sewing off to the 1812 Overture using this protected full grain leather on an embroidery thread. I know, this stuff made sense. These sew offs here on this ribbon type material using this beautiful sulky thread. Now we're going to put it to the test on leather. Why not? You know what you expect on this channel is crazy. All right, here we go. Let's have a little bit of fun. Here we go. All right, quick little pause to clip the threads. Here we go. Ah, oh, it's hilarious. Crazy. Oh, hey, Susie. Yeah, I just decided to pull off this real quick live stream with this 21E. When a machine sits for a long time and it's sitting out in the overflow area, even through part of last winter, it's been done that long. And that's what happens when a customer brings multiple machines is one's going to get done a lot sooner than the others. And it'll sit. And when a machine sits, it starts to dry out a little bit. If you've ever had a machine sitting around doing nothing for a while, you always have to kind of lube it, even if you haven't used it, right? Even if you haven't used it. So I just thought I would zip off on this protected full grain leather real quick just for fun and give this a go. Give this a go. Yeah, why not? And we'll do some other sew offs as well just for fun before Mary shows up. She's going to be showing up really shortly, so I got to stay on my guard. I got to get ready. And I haven't used this sulky thread in a while. Has anyone ever tried this sulky thread? It's also a German-made thread. I'll kind of show it to you. Apparently, product 1322, and it says California, but I know it has German roots. The original sulky thread, a little tricky to work with. Not quite as bad as that 100% rayon stuff, but it's a little bit tricky. Now, if you're not familiar with the lay of the land on a 21E, they came both with a 1.5 amp motor and then also a more standard 1 amp motor. It's been so long, I don't even remember. We look at the back of the machine here, and this particular one is a 1.5 amp motor. And a lot of people will gravitate towards the 21Es because they've got a bigger motor, right? They've got a bigger motor. But the 21As also came with larger motors as well. Both of those models did, but a lot of the 21Es also came with 1 amp motors. So it's kind of a toss off, isn't it? And this one has a variety of different cams. When I did these sew offs about 8 months ago, I sewed this ribbon style material, which is kind of a nylon base. There's the ear side of it, kind of shows it a little bit better. And I sewed off on Mary's cam AI, or A1 as it is, did these different decorative sew offs. Let me get that light shut off over there. It's going to show up a little bit better. Did all these on the machine to test it, make sure it was good to go. And we'll duplicate some of the decorative sewing today just for fun. And we'll do it on denim because I didn't try it on denim yet. I thought we'd do it on denim as well. So that again is AI. And whenever you see a cam, one of the black cams on the Husqvarnas that has a second letter or number after it, that's going to mean that it was a revised cam. So AI means there was an original A cam, and then they came out with different stitches. Some of these stitches you can see right here, that would have been a revised cam choice for customers. In other words, they could have had an A cam and an AI cam. This is a B cam here, some real pretty stitching on it as well. Yeah. And this one was, I'm trying to remember, this is cam C. Cam C. And again, all of the black cams come with 4, let me lean that against there. They come with 4 decorative or ornamental stitches on each of the cams. And then in the 5th position on the cam is going to be a zigzag. That's the way these cams are set up. Position 5 is always a zigzag. And then you've got a choice of ornamental decorative cams on the other 4 positions. And this is how you set them right here. This little slider right here. So again, all the way here on position 5 is a zigzag, and then there's 4, 3, 2, 1 that you can set the machine to do decorative ornamental sewing for whatever's on that cam that is in the back of the machine. I think we have, gosh, it's been so long, I'll have to look, but I think we might have a CI cam in there right now. And again, every time you're going to change this slider, you need to zero out the stitch width. So in other words, you'll take it down to 0, then you can move the slider, and then you move the stitch width back to a position 4. And always make sure your needle is clear of the material when you're doing that. You always want to make sure whenever you're adjusting any of the knobs on one of these Swedish beauties that you have that needle clear of the material, just like I do right now. And you can see I've already sewn off a couple of the stitch options for this cam. Now I got to know. What cam do we have in the back right now? Let's see. Shine the light over there. So right now I've got CI in the back of the machine. CI. You probably can't even see that on the camera. Maybe you can. But CI again means that it's cam C, but this is a revised cam. Whenever you look at the back of one of your black cams for your Swedish beauties, whether it's a 21E or a 21A or any of the other models that will use these cams, if you see just the letter, then it's the original cam. If you see what I call either an I or a Roman numeral 1 after it, then that's going to tell you that this was a revised cam. And the reason Husqvarna would revise cams is they wanted to give the customers a reason to buy another cam and to give them more stitch options as they were using their Swedish beauties. So there you go. So that again, if you're just joining the live stream, this was cam C that I already sewed off. And again, I'm using a 40 weight sulky embroidery thread on this material. And this is kind of a plastic vinyl ribbon material. It's a real tricky surface to sew on when you're doing especially stitches like this that require a lot of needle swing. So I did cam C. I already showed you CI, which again, these are basically the same cams, but there's going to be a slight revision on them. And that's what happens when Husqvarna did their revisions. And then I've got cam B. Cam B is kind of like one of my favorites of all time. Some real pretty stitches on there as well. And then finally, AI or A1, Roman numeral 1, which shows you a revised Cam A. So Mary brought all of these cams, and I thought, heck, well, let's try them all out. So we showed this. You can kind of see the shiny side of that, I think. It's going to be almost like a rubbery type material, real tricky stuff to sew. And again, if you're joining the live stream a little bit late, this machine sat in the overflow area of the workshop for about 8 months because I got it done. I got it done right away, thinking that Mary would be coming sooner and want to pick up her Swedish Beauty. And she said, no, let's wait. Let's wait until you get my other machine done too, which again, if you join the live stream a little bit late, I recently did a live stream on this new home Model K. You don't see these machines. It's got that beautiful Greyhound in the middle, the center of the bed right there. And you can look this up on Facebook or even look it up on YouTube. It didn't look like this when it came to the workshop. It was a real crusty, just a nasty looking machine. It looked like it belonged on the curb. And now it looks like it belongs in a museum. And Mary is either going to mount this in a table or a base because it doesn't sit level. That's why I've got this little block underneath it to keep it from tipping over. So you'll want to check out that live stream on this new home. I had to cut it short because my buddy Ken, that does similar work to what I do south of here, came to the workshop and he arrived about 2 hours earlier than I expected. So I didn't do all the sew-offs I wanted on this new home, which was kind of a bummer because it's just a sweet, sweet machine. And you can see it's set up almost like a class 15 style machine. It's got that tensioner, upper tension on the faceplate, so it's out of your view. And that again is why a lot of the machine makers, whether it was New Home or Singer or any other maker, that's why they moved that upper tension from this place right here on the lower part of the arm to the faceplate, because this was always kind of a distraction for the sewist. And they wanted the sewist to be able to see what was happening down at that needle. So let's get that puppy out of the way. Let's move it over here. And then it's not going to be obscuring view or getting in the way. But I know Mary's going to be, she's already seen this machine on the live stream and through some of the still shots on Facebook, but it is even more spectacular in person. And she remembers what this machine looked like when it came to the workshop originally. Yeah, she does. She remembers. So to see it the way it is now, it's like, you've got to be kidding. That's a combination of workshop and also paint shop magic as well. So exciting, isn't it? Exciting to see a machine transform that otherwise, as our friends in the UK right now that are having the funeral for their queen, they would say certain machines should just be tossed in the dustbin. That's our equivalent of saying thrown in the trash or put on the curb. It's always great to take a machine from that state and bring it to a point where it looks like it should have a place at the Smithsonian, doesn't it? All right, so enough blah, blah, blahing. Let's take a look now on how this Viking is sewing after sitting around for about 8 months out in the overflow area. The cold of winter and all the other seasons that it's exposed to, even though I've got some climatization out there, however you would term that, I've got an environment that to some extent is controlled. It still has an impact on machines when they just sit and they're not used. So let's give a listen to this one, see what we think. This again is a 21E and it is powered by a 1.5 amp Swedish motor. So let's see what we think. And it looks like I've already done these first two decorative stitches on Cam CI. So let's move it to the next one. And again, the way we're going to do that is we first of all have to take our stitch width, which is this right here. This is our feed dog drop, our stitch width, our stitch length, our reverse, and this is our needle position over here. And then this is our cam selector right here. You're not going to be tested on this, so if I did that really quick, don't get nervous. But again, going backwards, our cam selector right here, this little slider, our needle position, our stitch length, our reverse, and finally our stitch width. And if you see that little metal tab on top right there, that's for setting and starting and stop points for buttonholes, which I never, ever, ever use. And then finally, again, our feed dog drop here. At the 12 o'clock position, the feed dogs are fully engaged. If you rotate it clockwise down to the 6 o'clock position, those feed dogs are going to be dropped for free motion quilting and freehand embroidery. So we're going to leave them right where they are right now. And again, whenever you're sewing decorative ornamental stitching, you can see our stitch length right now is on 3. We want to move it way down for decorative ornamental stitching. Moving it down, we're down to 1. We're going to go a little bit further, right about down to here, almost to 0.5, kind of like we're right around 0.75, aren't we? For those of you that are math challenged like me, we're right around 0.75, and that's a good place to be for decorative stitching on stitch length. Now, we should be able to move our slider from, right now we're on position 2, I believe. Yep, position 2. Now we should be able to move it down to position 3, which I just did. So that's going to give us cam output on C1 or CI cam, and it'll be stitch pattern number 3. But then we have to remember to make sure our stitch width is moved back to 4 again. So our setup again for this next stitch is going to be stitch width is all the way on 4, stitch length is right around 0.75, and our slider right now is on stitch number 3. There it is. And let's give it a go, see what we think. And again, we're going to be going through 2 layers of denim. Nothing huge, humongous, or difficult, especially not for this machine, but we'll give it a go, see what we think. All right, here we go. And again, always make sure your take-up arm is at the highest position when you launch. Here we go. Oh, you know what I forgot to adjust? This is a good lesson. This is a good lesson. I had just done some straight stitching on this before with a different thread. I cranked my upper tension back up, but this sulky embroidery thread is very fragile. Not as fragile as 100% rayon, but I need to bump this tension, upper tension, back down if I'm going to be sewing on denim using this sulky embroidery thread. So there we go, another life lesson. If you're working with different types of threads, you sometimes have to make some adjustments to how your setup is on the machine. And I just forgot to do that, didn't I? Yes, I did. But that's okay. That'll give you a chance to see me thread this up as well. So let's get that back through there. So if you don't do that, what's going to happen is your thread is going to break, just like we had happen right there. And we got actually further than we should have. So again, I'm kind of bringing that through there. We're going to go through here next. It's another little thread guide just above the needle right here. And then finally, we're going to thread this from front to back. I've got to clip some threads now because of goofing up and forgetting to change my upper tension for this embroidery thread. Oops. So we're through that thread guide. I always lower my presser foot. It's a little bit easier to get the thread through there. I'm also going to give myself a clean end as well. All right, there we go. Okay, so we're dealing with an embroidery thread. Now we have to make an adjustment on upper tension, which I forgot to do. We're all the way up on almost 7. We've got to take it down for this rayon. Oh, this is rayon thread. I totally forgot. I thought this was, oh, this is rayon 40 weight by Sulky. I've dealt with the Gutermann stuff as well. So we're going to take it way, way down on upper tension, right to about 2.5. Way down. And hopefully that'll be enough to keep our thread from breaking. This stuff is real fragile thread. And it's not designed usually for sewing denim. Not usually. Okay, so let's give this a try again. And adjusting that upper tension, hopefully we'll be in good shape now. I'll start right where we broke the thread before. Okay, let's give this a go again, see what we get, and not throw a fit, as they say. Yeah, I forgot when I did this 8 months ago, I had to adjust that upper tension way down for this 100% rayon thread. This is really, really tricky thread to work with. Let's give it a try again, see how we do. And I'm going to check my threading one more time. I should show you the threading as well since we broke the thread. Why not, right? So this again is the sulky 100% rayon thread, very fragile stuff used for embroidery type sewing. And you've got to adjust the upper tension way down, which I forgot to do when I jumped back on this machine. So you come off of here, come across through this thread guide, then through this thread guide, down to our upper tension unit. Make sure, again, you always have the presser foot up when you're sliding and setting up your machine for sewing. You got to have that presser foot lever up so that there's no pressure on the discs. Draw it all the way through there. Then you come around and you go through that little spring right there, our little check spring, our little take-up spring. Let me get the camera to focus first. There we go. So we're going to bring the thread between that take-up spring underneath this thread guide up to our take-up arm, all the way down through this thread guide right here above the needle. And then finally, we're going to thread our machine from front to back. And you'll want to set your needle with the flat side to the rear on this machine when you're setting it up to sew. And when your bobbin is put into the bobbin case, you'll want to have it set up so that as that thread is being drawn, that bobbin is going to be turning counterclockwise, just to give you some setup tips. And I'm the last one to give setup tips right now because I forgot to adjust my upper tension down. Oh well, right? It happens. All right, let's give it a try again. Hopefully, we've lightened the load on that upper tension enough that we're not going to break that very delicate 100% rayon sulky made thread again. Hopefully not. Let's give it a try. See what we think. Here we go. And that one tension adjustment seems to have really helped us out, didn't it? We got through that. We didn't break the thread this time. And just keep that in mind as you're changing between different thread types. If you want to do embroidery type sewing or ornamental sewing and use some of this beautiful sulky thread, they have so many gorgeous colors to choose from. You're going to have to make some adjustments on the machine. Let's do the next stitch. And we're just going to do this real quick because Mary is en route and will be here very soon. She's coming from, and I don't know where this is in Michigan, but she's coming from Naubinway, Naubiway, Naubinway, Michigan. Sounds like it's a pretty good distance. So we'll see what we think. Yeah, it's lovely. Do a little bit of more adjusting maybe on the back. But again, we're dealing with a very fragile thread the way I have this set up right now. So let's go on to the next stitch. And again, if you're new to these, take it down to 0. Now we can move our slider over here. Waiting for the camera. There we go. We're on 3 right now. We're going to move it over to 4. And then make sure we move our stitch width back and always have your needle clear. We'll do our next sew off now on this denim. This is 2 layers, nothing heavy duty because we're dealing with a very, very delicate thread. Just 2 layers of heavy grade denim. We'll see how it does on this next stitch off. And I had not done this on the other live stream when I demonstrated Mary's machine. I used this rubbery ribbon type material that's really, really high in vinyl. Now we're using a totally different material with the same delicate thread. So hopefully we can make it through these last sew offs and not break the thread again. But if you've ever had a machine that chronically is breaking the thread, it's usually going to be in relation to your upper tension, just as we experienced in this situation. So always look at that upper tension, make sure that you've got your upper tension set appropriately for sewing the type of thread that you're working with. Just making sure, I want to make sure it didn't move off of my check spring. Yeah, this stuff is really tricky to work with. Hopefully we have success. We'll give it a try again. So this is our next decorative stitch. Again, we're using cam CI or C1, depending on how you read it. So let's give this a go, see what we think. All right, here we go. Yeah, I remember when I did this demonstration on this particular thread, oh my gosh, I had the thread break several times. So there's another one of our patterns, and we can certainly change the look of any of these patterns by adjusting that stitch length. The shorter we make that stitch, the more tight and the more defined it's going to make these decorative stitches. Right now, they're not super uh, defined because we're working with this real delicate thread. I can try shortening it a little bit more, but as soon as we start making adjustments to the machine, we might have issues with this very delicate 100% rayon sulky thread breaking. So we got to be mindful of that as well. But the machine is managing this incredibly well, incredibly well. All right, let's do this final stitch because as I explained, I think at the beginning, um, on position five on all of these cams that go with these black cams that go with these Swedish beauties, and they go into several models, including the class 51. And they look like this. I'll kind of show you real quick. If you're saying, what do you mean by a black cam? They're going to look like these. And these cams basically have 4 decorative or ornamental stitches on them. And then in position 5, it's always going to be a zigzag. And the reason that these machines require a zigzag being built into the cam instead of engineered into the machine is it controls the boundaries of the needle swing so that the machine doesn't swing wider than it should and strike the throat plate. So never ever operate one of these machines that requires one of these black cams. Never operate that machine without having a cam in the back because it's going to set that needle position so that it doesn't go outside of its swing boundaries. Be really careful about that. All right, so let's do this last stitch. And again, when you're cycling between stitches on these cam settings for these machines, you're always going to want to take your stitch width, which is right here, take it down to 0. What it does is it draws that reader finger back that's in the back that reads the bumps on the cams, almost like Braille. When you take this to 0, it pulls that finger back so that it's not pressed into the cam. And then we can move this more freely. Oh, it looks like I didn't know we had already gone to 4. Did we already do 4? Maybe we did. So we're going to go all the way back to the beginning again. Since I did the other 2 off camera, we'll go all the way back to position 1 and we'll sew stitch pattern 1 and 2 on cam CI. So now that we moved it to position 1, I'm going to go ahead and take us from 0 back to 4. You always want to be on a setting of 4. And again, like I said before, always make sure your needle is clear of the material when you're moving any of these knobs because it's going to change the position of that needle. And then what we might want to try to do, we'll see if we break the thread. If we do, we'll just rethread again. But I want to tighten that pattern up a little bit more. So what I do is I take the stitch length right here. We're right around 0.75. We're going to go a little bit shorter. Hopefully I'm not pushing this delicate 100% rayon thread too hard. I'm going to take it down to almost 0.5. And if the thread breaks, let it be a lesson that we can't quite push it that far. All right, let's see what we get this time. This is going to be pattern 1 on cam CI on Mary's 21E. All right. And again, we're sewing just through 2 layers of 100% heavy, or 100%. We're sewing through 2 layers of heavy grade denim. All right, let's see how we do. Here we go. Very delicate thread. Hopefully I didn't push that stitch length too short to strain this machine. Hopefully we're going to be okay. Let's give it a go. And it looks like, I think we're okay. Looks like we didn't break the thread, yay. I sure broke it the first time though, having that upper tension too high, didn't I? Yeah, I did. So that's one we just did right there. I think that's a lovely stitch, don't you? I like the look of that stitch a lot. And again, if you're looking for more definition, don't use 100% rayon for this type of sewing like I'm doing right now. Use a polyester or use another type of thread that's going to have a little bit more strength to it. This stuff is real fragile. But we're pulling it off so far. It's really quite a miracle that we're sewing 2 layers of denim, 100% rayon, and we only had to thread break that one time. I shouldn't hex us and say that, right? Don't say that, Scott, because then it's going to break. And it might. Hopefully not, but it might. All right. Get our thread back. And again, I got to watch my time because Mary will be here very shortly. But I wanted to check this machine out since it's sat. If you're just joining the live stream, this 21E I got done almost 8 months ago and then had to wait to get her other machine done, which required a lot of paint time in the paint shop south of here. So this machine was done almost right away. Give you a shot of it here. This machine was done almost right away. This machine over here kind of held things up. This new home, Model K. And again, if you haven't seen the live stream on this machine, check it out. Really a neat machine to see. You don't see it very often. All right. All right, let's do this next stitch. Oh, I forgot to show you again, just for repetition reinforcement. Right now we're in position 1 on the stitch selector for cam. We need to get to position 2. But first of all, we have to recalibrate our stitch width down to 0 so that it frees up that finger against the cam. Then we can slide this easily into position 2. Move your stitch width back to 4, and then we're ready to sew. And hopefully our good fortune holds out and we don't break the thread. Has anyone else, I'm not looking at the live chat, but has anyone else ever sewn with 100% rayon thread by Sulky? It's rated at 40 weight. I'll tell you one thing, that's not the strength of it. That's definitely not the strength of it. It's more the girth of the thread than it is the strength, because this is super fragile stuff. Let me say some quick hellos as well. Say hello to Emma. Say hello to Paula and Susie. And I don't know if we have anyone else. I think that might be it. We've got other folks that are sitting in the shadows, and that's okay. But our core ladies are out there. Susie from Minnesota and Paula from Florida and Emma from Florida. So welcome, ladies. Welcome. I just decided spontaneously to do this, like I said, because this 21E has been sitting idle out in the overflow area through winter and everything for 8 months. And I didn't want to hand it off to the customer and then have her have a problem with her being way out in, well, Susie typed it right there, 176 miles away, 3.5-hour drive. So 7 hours round trip that Mary is making today to come and pick up this 21E and then also pick up that gorgeous new home. Wouldn't that be a bummer? She wouldn't be too happy with me if she picked this Swedish beauty up and all of a sudden say the reverse was stuck or something else that can happen when the machine is sitting idle for almost a year, 8 months, like 3/4 of a year. So that's why we're kind of putting it to the test right now so that I can hand this off confidently, knowing that the machine does a job for Mary when she takes it all the way back 3.5 hours away. All right, let's do this last stitch, which is stitch number 2 on cam CI or C Roman numeral 1, depending on how you want to say it. And hopefully our good fortune holds out. We don't break this fragile 100% rayon thread. All right, all of you cross your fingers and toes, please, please, please. All right, here we go. All right, there we go. My take-up arm was way too low. That was silly. I know better. There we go. We made it. It's a miracle. Yay. And I don't know what this is Paula or Emma probably know, or Susie knows what this type of called. I always call it kind of an eyebrow stitch, kind of, 'cause it looks like an eyebrow or maybe some sort of a scallop. But whatever the official name is for it, the last one we just did on the far left here, it's quite lovely, isn't it? So, yeah, if you want to try this Sulky brand embroidery thread, rated at 40 weight, it's a beautiful thread. You can kind of see what it did here when I sewed on this pretty ribbon material. If you're going to use this for, say, Christmas time, I mean, it just does a lovely job of presenting, doesn't it? Really quite spectacular. And again, I went through all the cams that Mary brought, every single one of them. It doesn't look nearly as pretty on denim, does it? Because that gold against that red really pops. Here's our CI. This is the one this is the cam that's in the back of the machine right now. Looks a lot better on there though, doesn't it? Yeah. So choosing your materials also has a huge impact. Choosing your thread, your materials, and your entire setup might have to be adjusted depending on what you're working with. But I'm glad to see that even after sitting idle in my overflow area, which again has some climate control to it. Any of you that have been to the workshop know that I've got the furnace AC unit out there for the upper part of the property, for the bedrooms upstairs and everything. So it wicks the moisture out. It keeps the environment very stable, but still sitting for 8 months without being sewed on. I just wanted to make sure. So there you go. That's what it's like to sew with this 100% rayon sulky thread. If you try it, just remember, take your upper tension from where you would normally have it set, and look at how far I have it down, all the way down to right around a little bit below 2.5. Because if you have this turned up too high, you're going to have thread breaking. Trying to get the camera to focus. Come on, camera. Well, any rate, it says 2.5, even though the camera is kind of goofing around a little bit right now. There we go. So just remember, adjust that upper tension down. Don't be silly like me and start up on 7 or 6.5 or somewhere you would sew normally and have that thread keep breaking on you. So, all right, I'm happy. Sulky thread is great. Wonderful thread to use. And I didn't look at the chat if anyone else has ever tried this thread before. Oh, good morning, Doris. Welcome to Doris. And see if there's anybody else I missed. I don't think so. Great to have Doris here. I don't know that I've seen Doris before, and if she feels comfortable saying what state or what country she's from, that would be cool. It's always fun to know, approximately geographically where folks are tuning in to one of the live streams, because these again are not announced. They just happen. They just happen spontaneously, kind of like today. So yeah, beautiful, beautiful stuff to sew on. Oh, mid Missouri. Mid Missouri. And since she's from that state, hopefully she agrees that I'm saying it correctly. Mid Missouri. Cool. Do you know, Doris, where Springfield, Missouri is? Springfield, Missouri, for those of you that don't know how to say the state correctly. Springfield, Missouri, or Missouri, is where this FOF 230 is from, right there. And that's going to be hitting the workbench right after the customer comes today and picks up these other machines. I'm going to be focusing on this FOF 230 and getting this ready to head back to Springfield, Missouri. I think that's a real big city, isn't it? That's like a major hub, kind of like Milwaukee, Wisconsin and Wisconsin. But that'll be fun to do. That'll be fun to do. Oh, welcome to Ronald as well. Ronald is here. Yeah. All these new folks having a chance to join us. It's great, isn't it? I love new folks joining our classroom and us sharing the experience of learning the coolness of these machines. And again, if you joined the live stream late, we just did some sew-offs using uh, this heavy grade denim, 2 layers of it, doing some of the decorative sewing. And you might say, well, what's the big deal about doing these decorative ornamental sew-offs on these 2 layers of denim? We did it with 100% rayon. 100% rayon thread is about as fragile as an egg, real fragile stuff to sew with. So to be able to lay stitching down like this through 2 layers of denim, that's a pretty big deal. And we could probably push that thread a little bit further, but I'm really happy with that result. Really, really happy. And then the other machine that Mary is going to be picking up very shortly is this one over here. If you join the live stream a little bit late, is this new home from 1949, I believe. And I ran it through the paces through a recent live stream if you want to check it out. We sewed protected full grain leather. We sewed Kona cotton. We sewed saddle grade leather. I'm trying to remember what else we sewed. We sewed 100% cotton with no stiffener and no quilt batting. Oh, we even went through 2 layers of this saddle grade leather. I thought it was a single layer, but really wanted to put this machine through the paces. And also 2 layers of protected full grain leather as well. And this 1949 new home, again, this is part of the Greyhound series. You see the little Greyhound right in the middle of the bed there. And it did a beautiful job of managing all of those sew-offs. And then I had to cut it short, unfortunately, but it gave us a good taste of what that machine is capable of doing. And once it's mounted in a proper base or mounted in, a table, it's going to be real stable. You might remember when I demonstrated this machine, I had it balanced in a base so that it wouldn't tip over, but it wasn't the proper base. It wasn't anchored properly. And I was so pleased to see that we could get through that live stream without any major, tip overs or anything weird happening to that machine. But I know Mary is incredibly excited to pick up this new home today and see the transformation of it. It looks so different from when it came to the workshop. It looked just like a crusty mess. And now it's a gorgeous, gorgeous treasure for that family, an heirloom, really. So we've got a little bit more time. Mary's not here yet. It shouldn't be arriving for 15 minutes or so. I don't know if anyone has any requests on, again, we're dealing with this real delicate rayon thread. But if someone else wants to see me stitch off on something else that's not going to cause that thread to readily break, I'd be willing to give it a try. We've done denim, we've done ribbon, nylon type material. I started out with the 1812 overture, if you missed that, and we sewed off on this protected full grain leather to the 1812 overture, which was kind of fun. So yeah, and sewing protected full grain leather with rayon thread, that's a little bit insanity. It really is. I do have been there many times, Springfield. Third largest city in Missouri. Also, pronunciation is either way. So Doris is native to that area, and she pronounced it Missouri. So I got to stop beating up folks when they say Missouri and I say Missouri, because you can say it either way apparently, which is kind of cool. Yeah, Ronald has a 230 also, and the 230s, they did come with different setups and different coloration as well. Absolutely, some of them are muted and they're almost a Godzilla type finish. There's no shine, there's no poppy patina to it at all. They're very plain looking. And then they have others like the black one I just showed off camera that's from Missouri or Missouri, and that one has that shiny, beautiful patina to it. Cape. Now, y'all know, you've been watching what Ronald wrote. Is Ronald from Florida too? We've got a lot of Floridians, which is awesome. Just seeing if there's anything else we can sew off on this real quick with this delicate setup before I call it quits and get ready for Mary to pop into the workshop. Let's see here. What else do I have? I wonder, 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 I wonder if we could pull off any stitch offs on this bubblegum material. And if you haven't seen this stuff before, it's got a lot of vinyl in it. You see how I'm stretching it right now? You're like, wow, 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 wow. We could try we could try sewing with this 100% rayon thread on this bubblegum material, but I don't know, maybe it'll break. But it didn't break with the denim. We were able to get through the entire CI cam and not break it. So maybe we can pull it off. We should give it a try. I'm just debating if I should go with one layer or two. I probably shouldn't push that thread too far. Maybe we should just do one layer, huh? Yeah, let's do one layer. Let's do one layer of this bubble gum just to stretch this live stream a little bit longer since we have a little bit of extra time. But again, I don't know how this thread is going to react to this bubblegum material. Hopefully it does okay. I won't do two layers. I usually do two layers. If we had a different type of thread on the machine, I would. All right, so see if we can pull this puppy off. All right. Yeah, we got a little bit more time. We put on a little bit more music too. It's so quiet in here. So doggone quiet. Whoops, what happened? Oh, that was a fun song. But it only runs like, oh, wow. This next one is called 1975. The name of the song is 1975. I have no idea why. All right, let's give this a try. Hopefully we don't break the thread. We might break the thread. We're gonna get really good at threading this machine, right? That's like a spy style music. All right, quick mute. Let's launch into this so you can listen to this machine and not listen to my cool music, and we'll see how this machine manages it. And I'm going to make one quick adjustment. I'm going to take this all the way. We'll see if we can pull off all of these stitches. I doubt it, but maybe. First one is going to be Cam's stitch pattern number one. See if we can pull this off on this real stretchy bubblegum material. It might be a fail, but that's okay. We'll give it a try. Here we go. Did we break? We didn't break it. That's good. Yay. Oh, yeah, that's kind of pretty, isn't it? So that's stitch one. That's stitch number one on Cam's CI, or C Roman numeral one, if you want to call it that. Let's do the next one. Maybe we can pull this off without it breaking. That would be cool. And there's our lock stitch. I didn't show that to you. So our tension is all the way down to 2.5. If you didn't see that before, let me show you. Our tension on top is all the way down to 2.5. When you're sewing with this 100% rayon thread by Sulky or even by Gutermann, it's such a fragile thread. You got to take your upper tension from the normal setting that you might use all the way down to a really, really low setting. Otherwise, the thread is going to keep breaking on you because it's very delicate thread. Even though it's rated at 40 weight, it's not 40 weight. Trust me. There's no way. Maybe that's just the girth of the thread. Who knows? But yeah, it's deceptive because you usually hear 40 weight thread, and that sounds pretty hardcore, but it's not. It's very fragile, very, very fragile stuff. All right, let's do this next one. Let's do this next one. This is fun. All right, let me move those out of the way. All right, get our next one in place. And we have to change our stitch selector, don't we? Let's remember to do that. We'll change our stitch selector. Otherwise, we're going to be sewing the same thing. And again, if you got one of these machines, never try changing this slider until you calibrate this stitch width down to 0. It's going to release that finger that presses into the cam. And if you try sliding this with that finger in the cam, you might damage this delicate mechanism. on the inside. So don't do that. Take it down to 0. Then you can take your slider right here from position 1, move it down to position 2 very easily. And then take your stitch width back to 4 again. And again, always make sure your needle is clear of the material when you're changing any of the knobs and the controls on these machines. Okay, so let's do this next one. This is going to be stitch pattern 2 on cam CI. CI or C1, depending on how you want to do it. And again, it's just a revised cam of the original C cam. That's all it is. All right, keep your fingers crossed. We're doing okay so far. Hopefully we can do this next one and not break this delicate 100% rayon sulky thread. Here we go. Oh, wait a second. There we go. That's a better shot. All right, here we go. Okay, that's going to be our little scallop or a little eyebrow stitch right there, as I call it. Probably not the correct term for it. A lovely stitch, isn't it? I like it. We draw this thread out a little bit. We'll look at the back side. And then you can see right now we're still getting some good stitch definition on the lock stitch with this 100% rayon sulky thread, even though we have our upper tension, which controls this part of the stitch process. Remember, your upper tension is going to pull up to define the lock stitch. Your bobbin case below in the raceway is going to be pulling down to define this top stitch. So the bottom is pulling down. The upper tension is pulling up to define this stitch. And we're only at 2.5 on the upper tension right now, but we're still getting fairly decent definition. And I could get even better definition if I shortened it more, but I'm trying not to break the thread again. So, just keep that in mind. Any of the threads that you work with, you may have to make some of those tension adjustments to get the right outcome and to not be pulling your hair out because the thread keeps breaking over and over and over and over again. So, all right, so let's get this back into position. I'm running out of time. I need to do less talking and more sewing. So we're going to do our next stitch now. And again, I'll just show you again, repetition is the key, right? So this is our slider right here. We don't want to try to slide it to position 3 right now until we withdraw that finger that's going to read that cam. And that's by taking this down to 0, your stitch width. Take it down to 0, that finger retracts, and then we can move this very easily to position 3. And then we have to take this back to anything above 0 is going to be fine. I always go to 4. I always go to 4 on it. So, all right, let's get the right shot. You can see the 2 we've done so far. And again, you probably have never seen this material before. If you have, I would really be surprised. I bought it as a scrap little mini roll of this stuff at a thrift shop, and I've never seen it since. I'm sure it's out there, but it's looks almost like a fake leather, but it's got a lot of vinyl in it. If anyone else has seen this stuff before, that would really be cool that you have, because I haven't seen it. And again, the stretch factor on this, look at that. It's just crazy stretchy stuff. Okay, so we're on to our next stitch now, stitch pattern 3 on cam CI. And Mary should be here very, very shortly. So I better get this done so we can finish these sew-offs on this cam CI. All right, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. See what I almost launched in the wrong position. See where my take-up arm is right there? Never launch here. Always take it up to the highest point. And you do that because it frees up any binding of the machine, and then you don't get bird nesting on the bottom. It launches very smoothly. So if that's the first time you're hearing that, it's good that you were in class today, because I've had even experienced seamstresses that sometimes will battle that. And then when I say, where are you launching with your take-up arm? They say, wherever it is. I said, take it to the highest position. And all of a sudden, they're very happy. They're very happy. All right, here we go. Hopefully we're happy and we don't break thread. Here we go. And I'm not going pedal to metal because we're dealing with such a fragile thread, such a fragile thread. So this is stitch pattern number 3. I call it kind of a building block pattern. I don't know what you would call it, but I always call that kind of a building block pattern. And again, we could get better definition if I even make it shorter. Right now we're on about 0.5 as far as stitch length. We can go lower than that if we wanted to. But I think we're getting some really good outcomes working with this 100% rayon on such a tricky material, this bubblegum material. And I've offered it before, and I'll offer it again. If anyone wants to get a small sample about this size, or maybe a little bit smaller, just send me a private note with your address, and I'll mail a sample to you free of charge. Unless you live in Brazil or the UK or something like that, then you might have to pay the postage. But it really is a fun material to put to the test. It truly is. Okay, so let's clip our threads. Show you the back as well. That's our lock stitch that we just laid down. And again, we're getting a beautiful lock stitch with an upper tension all the way down to 2.5. Very, very low upper tension setting, but we can do that because of the nature of this rayon thread. This rayon thread does not require that upper tension, and quite honestly, you can't even sew with it with your upper tension turned too high. It's going to break on you repeatedly. All right, let's get this back into position. We'll do our next stitch. Should probably turn my notifications back on my phone too, in case Mary is sitting outside of the workshop saying, I wonder if he's at lunch. I wonder if he's at lunch, which I'm not. I don't think I am. All right, so if you see my phone doing goofy things now, it's because I just turned it back on. Oh, Mary is here. Hold on, you guys. Hold on. Sorry. Ah. The folks know how far you drove to come pick up these machines, and you're bringing more. So just kind of follow me, and I'll make a quick introduction so that they can see you. And this one goes with the other machine. Let me set this over here for right now.
Sure.
Yeah, that's why she looked at me strange, like I don't have a Husqvarna. So yeah, just have a seat right over here is fine then. Yeah, just make yourself at home. So everybody, let me introduce you to Mary real quick.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
There you are right there, see?
Oh, yeah, I do.
This is Mary, and she drove in from Michigan. How long did it take you?
A little over 3 hours.
So a little bit over 3 hours, and we've got a couple more stitch offs to do on her Swedish machine. And that's your new home right over there. What do you think?
Yes. Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh, she looks
Doesn't
perfect.
she look different than she looked before?
Yes. Oh, you babied her. She looks fantastic.
Yeah, she's ready to go to the prom, I think. She's ready to go to the
Oh,
prom for sure.
the granddaughter will be so excited.
So this is your granddaughter's going to use one, the K.
Yes. So this will be her great great grandmother's machine.
Okay, okay, so talk a little bit about the family then. This belonged to your
This belonged to my grandmother.
to your grandma.
Hmm.
Okay, so it's been in the family how many years then? It's from the
Well,
1940s.
probably 1940, 1950. They were very frugal. They would not have spent the money on a sewing machine if grandma didn't think it would have saved a lot of money.
Mhm.
Um,
Because everyone was making their clothes back then.
yeah,
Now everyone is buying their clothes at Target or Walmart or somewhere else.
right,
A lot of folks are,
right.
unless they want to custom fit the clothing.
Hmm. She
So
did a lot of sewing for the church as well.
wonderful,
Yeah,
wonderful. How do you say the name of your city? I pronounced it on the video, and I know I'm getting it wrong.
Nabenway.
Nobbinway.
Yeah,
Okay, they're making. Yeah, they always make fun of me the way I pronounce things. So, anyway, that is Mary who drove over 3 hours to come to the workshop today to pick up her Swedish beauty. And you guys didn't know it because I was outside of the workshop, but I had another customer at the same time bringing a foot controller for the machine that she brought a couple days ago. She came from Joanne Fabrics, or Joanne's as they call themselves now, and she forgot to bring the foot controller with. So she was in the driveway with Mary, and my mind is just okay. I'm on a live stream. My mind is like scattered all over the place. And so I greeted her and I said, "I'm doing a live stream about your machine right now." She says, "Already?" And then all of a sudden, it's a different person. Who knew? Okay. So Mary doesn't even know this necessarily. The setup that we have right now, just I wanted to really test this machine before, it's been sitting out in the overflow area for about 8 months while I was doing the machine that belonged to the great grandmother,
it'll be Zahara's great great grandmother.
Zahara's great grandmother.
Yeah.
It's been in the family from the very beginning. And but this machine, the Husqvarna, the 21E, has been sitting idle out in the overflow area now for about 8 months. And I wanted to make sure that it hadn't stiffened up, that everything was running well with it, and everything like that. So we're only going to do. We've done 3 of the 4 decorative sew offs already on the machine. Again, we have Cam CI in right now. I did all of these sew offs. I don't know if Mary has seen these, but
No, I haven't.
this is I showed you guys already. This is it's like a ribbon material you would see at Christmas time. And I sewed it with a 9014 Schmetz needle. But here's the big deal is the thread that I used is this 100% rayon thread by Sulky. Very tricky stuff. If you ever sewed with 100% rayon, you will get gray hairs over this stuff. And I sewed it on this plasticky ribbon material, a lot of vinyl in here, I'm assuming. And we tried every single cam that Mary brought with the machine. So she hasn't even had a chance to see these, I
No,
don't
I
think,
haven't.
yet.
No, because when I dropped the machine off, it didn't do anything.
It didn't do anything when
It
you
was
dropped it
a
off.
straight stitch. That
It
was
was
it.
only straight stitching.
Yeah.
So
Oh, this is really, really cool.
aren't those fun?
Look at this. Oh, this will be fun.
And that's every cam. Is it your granddaughter or great granddaughter?
No, this was a machine I purchased from a woman whose mother had died.
Okay, okay.
So yeah,
But your granddaughter or great granddaughter is going to get this. Which one is it?
not this one. She's getting the
Oh,
new
the new
one.
home. Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I meant. That's what I meant.
yeah.
You tell how
Okay,
scattered I am.
it's
My
okay.
mind is just everywhere today. It's like,
These are
ah.
these are fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
So you got this Husqvarna from a lady. It was only straight stitching. That's right. This has
Hmm.
been 8 months ago. If you guys think I'm losing it, this has been 8 months ago. And think of how many machines I've handled in the meantime.
Yeah.
So this machine that Mary got, this 21E, which again, it's one of the unique 21Es. It's not powered by a 1 amp motor. It's powered by a 1.5 amp motor. So it's even got a little bit more grit and gusto to it. So this is going to be Mary's machine. I'll get it right now, finally, hopefully. This one is
Yes.
going to go to the granddaughter.
Yes.
And this is the one that's been in the family from the 1940s.
Yes.
So, okay. I'm finally on the right sheet of music, you guys. And eventually it's going to happen. Like they say, even a blind squirrel can find nuts once in a while. So that's me sometimes, isn't it? I get all confused. But at any rate, yeah, Mary's really admiring this because when she
Hmm.
got the machine, All it would do is straight
Straight
stitch. And now she's
stitch.
like, holy mackerel, it does all this fancy
Yeah.
stuff.
Couldn't move the cams at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to get Mary off of camera. She's been very gracious. I didn't tell her I was going to make her a star. And now going back to Michigan on 3.5 hour trip, there's going to be like paparazzi following her and stuff. It's going to be annoying, but it's fun at the same time. We're going to make her a star. Okay. So this again is cam CI or C1 in the back, Roman numeral 1. We did stitch number 1, stitch number 2, stitch number 3. Now we're going to do stitch number 4. But again, I'm going to show you guys again, repetition is a key. Whenever you're changing this slider to get a different cam output, always remember, always take this down to 0. Because when it's on 4, the reader finger that reads the cams, and look at all these cams that Mary got with this machine, really quite a treasure. I showed some of you this already. But she got all of these cams with this machine, plus there's one in the back, so 4 cams altogether. She got the original C, which is right in the center here. She got B, she got A1 or AI, and then she also got CI or C1. So when these are in the back of the machine and they're turning on that cam stack like this, when they're turning like this, that little reader finger is going against these bumps just like Braille, and it's reading those bumps, and that's how it interprets what stitch to create from that movement of the cam as it's turning. So we don't want to try changing this slider up here, this little slider up here, while that finger is pressed into the cam, because it can damage that finger, which is a lighter gauge metal. So we rotate the stitch width to 0 so that it pulls that finger away. So now that finger is away from the cam, and now we can move this slider to position, we're on 3 right now, to position 4 very easily. It just moves so nicely. But then we have to remember to move this back to 4. You guys have seen me get silly on live streams or videos sometimes. I'll forget to move it, and then all of a sudden I'm just sewing a straight stitch. So make sure you move it back to somewhere between 4 and 2, I would recommend. 4 is usually going to get you the best look for that stitch. And again, on stitch length, when you're sewing decorative stitches that are cam generated, always move it down to right around 0.5. Move it way, way down. Usually when you're doing straight stitching, you'll be way up here, somewhere like around between 4 and 2. But when you're doing ornamental stitching through the cams, you want to move this way, way down, right about to 0.5. If we were sewing with a polyester thread that wasn't as fragile as this 100% rayon, we could take it down even below 0.5, 0.4, maybe to 0.3. I wouldn't go much below that, or there's not going to be any material movement, and you're just going to get a mess, because that needle is trying to generate so much of that pattern in such a limited compressed state. So right around 0.5-ish is going to be a good place. And we've gotten away with this 100% rayon in this range, which kind of surprises me. I thought we'd have to go higher, but so far we've got the luck of the Irish. So now we're going to do this last decorative ornamental stitch on cam CI, and then we'll wrap this up so that Mary can. Mary has brought more machines today, so I've got to see what she brought in the car, and then she will head on her track back to Michigan unless she wants to have lunch or something first. So, all right, so here we go. Our final stitch off. I won't put any music on, even though you guys know I love music. Let me see. I don't even know where we're at right now on here on music. Why? That's a fun song. All right, I'll be good. I won't put it on right now. I'll be a good boy. We'll mute it for right now, and then we'll end with some music. All right, aim that camera down a little bit further so we can see it laying down the stitches. And again, just remember when you launch at that highest position with that take-up arm up here, it should be at the highest point, just about ready to come on that downstroke. That's the ideal way to launch when you're first starting your first stitch launch. Okay, let's do this next one. And this again is going to be stitch number 4 on cam CI. Remember again on these cams, each one of the cams is engineered with a zigzag, and you never want to operate one of these green machines without a cam in the back because that cam also sets the swing boundaries of the zigzag. And if you don't have a cam in the back, it can hit the throat plate because it swings too wide. So just keep that in mind as well if you've got a machine similar to Mary's, that you do it right. So stitch number 4, here we go. And I'm going to keep the speed down so we're dealing with this rayon thread, okay? Very delicate stuff. I don't know if you can hear Mary's comment. Say it really loud, Mary. So she sounds better. A little bit of workshop magic. Okay, so this is one we just did. I'd almost call it like, what is that snack food called? They look like
Yeah.
little cones or something like that. Do you guys know what that is? Type it in the chat if you remember what that's called. I can't remember what that snack food is called. Bugles, yes.
There you go.
Oh, what a pretty name, Arshes. Arshes. Where did and you guys realize I'm not looking at the live chat. Where is Arshes from? What a beautiful name that is. Arshes. I've never heard that name before.
Sounds French.
It sounds French, Mary was saying. So we did the bugle stitch, as I call it now. Did she say where she's from? No, not yet. We did the building block one, we did the eyebrow one or the scallop one as it is, and then we did this one right here. These are all on cam CI. And again, Husqvarna originally came out with a regular C cam, and then they decided they wanted to offer different stitch choices to their customers. So then they came out with a revision of cam C, and they added that little extra Roman numeral 1 or that I after it to tell people this is revised. That way, if you had a cam C already, we're like, okay, I'm going to get some different stitch choices potentially with this revised cam C, which is really awesome. And I doubt that Mary, when she gets this machine set up back in Michigan, if she's going to be sewing with 100% rayon thread, but I'm going to send it back with the machine anyway, just for fun.
Oh dear.
And that way she can goof around with it if she wants to.
Okay.
But she'll just have to remember to adjust her upper tension back up to 6 or 7 before she sews with polyester thread. So isn't that lovely though?
You don't have that in the bobbin, do you?
I do.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Rayon thread up and down.
Oh, wow.
And we're getting results like that. I'm going to hand this to Mary. You can see it now on camera. But I'm guessing that Mary, from what she's saying, you're like, holy cow, really? And bobbin too? She's probably tried rayon before. It is a nightmare thread to work with. It really is. Isn't that lovely?
Yes.
And this is again, I showed the folks.
That's a leather, isn't it?
No, it's that's the tricky thing. Let me kind of adjust the camera here. That's the tricky thing. This is actually almost 100% vinyl. Look at that.
Holy cow.
I call it bubblegum material.
Oh.
So if your machine can handle the rayon thread up and down, and then on a material like this, you can imagine how well it's going to do with polyester thread, or nylon, whatever you end up using in the machine. So,
oh, that's amazing, just amazing.
Yeah, it's different than when it arrived. Both machines are different than when they arrived. And Mary's saying, well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I was kind of expecting that they would be different, Scott. Hello. They better be different, buddy. So, all right, y'all. Well, unless you have, let's see here. I'm looking across. Yali, there's another fun name. All these folks visiting today, and they have such cool, amazing, awesome names. Am I saying that name correctly? Yali? Yoli?
How's that one spelled?
Yoli. Got it. Okay, so you pronounce it Yoli. Where are you from, Yoli? with such a beautiful name. Yoli. Yes, it's a lovely name, especially when I say it correctly, right? Bugles. Yes. Yeah, Ronald eats bugles. You eat bugles, don't you, Ronald? I know I do. I don't even need dip, man. I'll just dig into that bag even without dip. I'm cool with that. So yeah, hopefully Yo Lee will share where she's from, and then our other friend that had the really cool name, Arshis, supposed to be Jolie, but it was spelled with a Y. Thank you for making my morning. Yeah, it's a beautiful name.
Yes, it is.
It's a Mary says it's a beautiful name too, right?
Very.
It's a beautiful name. Mary from Michigan loves it.
Yes.
Matter of fact, we'll ring the bell. We're so excited about that beautiful name. We don't ring the bell for no reason. I'll tell you that right now. All right. So Lincoln drape pattern number 2. All right. I believe Ronald. That sounds legit. Yeah. So yeah, if Yoli or the other friend, Arshes, I'm trying to say it as best as I can, want to share where you're from, what state, what country, that would be awesome. So we are going to wrap up this live stream so that Mary can show me what else she brought. And I didn't show her, but we also before she arrived, I thought, what kind of knucklehead, what kind of crazy person is going to sew using 100% rayon thread, sulky thread, on 2 layers of denim? That makes no sense. So I did it. I did it. Why not? Right? Just to say we did it. So we laid down some fun decorative stitching using that 100% rayon. Again, I would make the pattern a little bit tighter, a little bit more defined. I would shorten it even a little bit more beyond 0.5, which is where we're at right now, a little bit above 0.5. The shorter you make that decorative ornamental pattern on these Swedish beauties, the more defined, the more wow it's going to be. But we didn't do bad. And I didn't want to push it too far going through denim. So I'll hand this over to Mary as well, just to kind of show her some of the fun stuff we did just before she arrived. Wow. With that denim. And that's not a lightweight denim like some of the kids are wearing now, where it's almost like wearing a plastic bag. This is like the old fashioned from bib overhauls type denim. It's pretty hardcore stuff. It's not that stretchy denim that I've sewn a couple of times on this channel. And her machine just did a beautiful job with it. But again, we can always make it better. I always say even beautiful stitching is page 34. It's near perfect, but by making slight adjustments, maybe the type of needle, the thread, the stitch length, stitch width, we can even get more pop out of that stitch pattern. So that's always good, right? Yeah. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, even our new friends that have the coolest names ever, yeah, they do. We're going to wrap this live stream up now. We verified that this Swedish beauty, even after sitting idle for about 8 months, is like, I'm ready to go back home to Michigan. Let's get it done. So we're going to get this machine packed into Mary's car. Once we get the other machines out, I'll give you guys some sort of an update during the next live stream, let you know what Mary left, and also get this other awesome new home packed up as well. Good. We're going to have to kind of stabilize that a little bit because it's kind of tippy. And then we'll get this back so that Mary's granddaughter can put this machine to work. Yeah. What fun. All right. Mary and I are going to say goodbye. Wait, am I in there? I can't tell.
I can't tell. There
Yeah,
you are.
there I am. Hey, see you guys. Bye. All right, I'll put on some music to end the live stream, and then we will. That's how we opened. Why not, right? Let's be outrageous. All right, so I'm just going to let this play, and then Mary and I are going to go out and check out what she has in the car. So you guys have a great rest of your whatever day it is, Wednesday, I think. And even after the live stream ends, the chat will be active for a little bit. If you're chatting with somebody and you're building a new friendship, or you're talking about whatever, you can do it for a little while. It times out eventually, but not right away. So enjoy the 1812 Overture. See ya. Ah, that's a horrible shot. Let's send it over here. All right, take care, everybody. Got it. Oh, the music ended. if there's anybody still here. I'll set this on Mary's chair just for a second. Oh, wow, we still have 5 folks on. Very cool. Okay, grab this one as well. So, Mary, those of you that persevered, and even though the music ended, I'll just show you real quick. We obviously just got done using this machine that's going to head back to Michigan. And this machine, we just a bunch of sew-offs on because it had sat idle. And these are going to leave today. And then Mary brought this featherweight that I'm not going to bother. Oh, I'll just show you inside real quick. Lovely, lovely looking featherweight. I don't know if it's
it's a centennial.
It's a centennial. So it's a centennial. Eventually, you'll see this pop up in a live stream. And a little bit of a needle bar adjustment, it sounds like, and some basic cleaning and tuning, and we'll be in great shape again. So, lovely machine. And then this one, you said is a 99?
I think it's a 99.
Or
it's
99.
A crank.
And this
I
one,
thought it was a 99K, but I'm not sure.
This one actually came from a local gentleman that specializes in hand cranks, but has since, from what the post office says, has since stopped working and doing that type of work. A little bit tricky sometimes. It kind of hinges on the side there. So this is, it's actually looks like it's more of a class.
Or is it a 66?
It's a 66.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a 66 hand crank. Lovely, lovely machine. And this is, you can tell by the wood handle, this is an original hand crank, it looks like, that Singer would have put on the machines back in the day. And this one, I'd have to look it up. It's a Y series. If anyone for fun wants to look it up and at the next live stream share particulars about the machine, you can see the serial number right here, I think. It's Y9808489. And I can't spin around and keep the camera straight, but hopefully, yep, there it is. But Mary bought this from a local Oconto gentleman, and he and I would send customers back and forth. He would get people that wanted motorized machine. He would send them my way. And if I learned somebody that was looking specifically for a hand crank, and he would get a lot of these out of the UK, where Alex is from, Alex Askroff. A lot of these were shipped over from the UK and then became American machines, which is kind of cool. So lovely machine, isn't it? Lovely, lovely machine. And then we have one more out in the out in Mary's car that she brought. It's a Necky machine, but I'm going to end the live stream before I show you that one. You'll see that in the future. So, but yeah, thanks for everybody kind of hanging on there a little bit longer. And have a great rest of your Wednesday. And take care. Yeah. And again, the live chat will be active for a little bit after the live stream. See you guys. Bye.